Hey guys, Ryan Gill here with Hunt Primitive, where we entertain, educate, and inspire. And on this channel we do a lot of primitive build, hunting, or educational videos just like this one. So if you're new here, do please consider subscribing. So what we want to talk about today is the true lethality of stone projectiles. How deadly are stone projectiles really? Because there's a lot of misconceptions that people truly believe, even to this day, that early peoples had to chase down animals and quite literally pincushion them to death with stone projectiles because they just certainly weren't up to the task of taking down animals quickly or efficiently, and that could not be further from the truth. Now, me personally, I have killed 46 big game animals to date with primitive hunting implements, and almost all of those have been with stone projectiles. And between myself and other associates that shoot primitive bows, arrows, and stone points, we're well over 100 animals that we can use as a database, including all this stuff right here behind me. I didn't even intend to show you all this, but there are pages and pages and pages of information documented from actual kills that with stone projectiles, especially little teeny tiny ones just like this one. They used to be called bird points for quite a while. Not really a bird hunting type of thing. What they really are is they're for hunting everything. They're for hunting big game. Even points this size have been found in association with bison kill sites. So the true thing that we want to talk about today is that you can take points that are this size, go out and make one shot, one kill on deer, hogs, bison, those big animals, they'll fall just as dead with these little points. So despite having a lot of information already on my YouTube channel, you have to realize not many people are as enthralled with this as I am, and probably you are too if you're watching this. Because I'm really entrenched in this, I get a lot of comments and see a lot of people in discussions about stone projectiles. And of course there's a lot of theory that gets bounced around by people that really don't go out and hunt with these to see how deadly they truly are. And it's very easy to say, well, they didn't have to kill bison with stone points. They ran them off of cliffs. So there's very isolated geographical locations. There was people that lived all over the places that hunted bison and killed them with stone projectiles that didn't have cliffs around. And then we also have like the persistence hunters that we see in Africa that will get out in these desert-like terrains, very, very open, very, very hot, very dry, and they will start a foot chase and just wear an antelope of some sort of species down until they get close enough to kill it, basically wearing it to near exhaustion. And people today like to throw a blanket over if they see something that one early people has done, they think, well, that's just the way everybody did it worldwide, and that really couldn't be further from the truth. There are so many different variables in the hunts and different styles of hunts for different animals in different time periods with different weapons, different species of animals. The list goes on and on. But one of the things that we really need to draw the attention to is that stone projectiles are incredibly efficient. So what we're seeing in comparison to that with modern archery equipment, metal broadheads, even like these new expandables and compound bows, the time difference if you shoot a deer through the lungs with a little stone point, just like one of these, compared to a compound bow shooting a great big steel broadhead on it, the difference in time that it takes that animal to die is seconds. Literally, if I take this, and we've seen this, we've done this multiple times and shown people right here on our channel, what we're used to seeing is we make a shot into the heart or the lung area with small projectiles, stone points, cane arrows, primitive bows, and when that shot goes into the heart or lung area, the animal runs and typically falls within sight or within earshot, and they are down exceptionally fast. What it comes down to, it's not what's on the end of the arrow as much as the arrow placement within itself. Because a shot that's a little bit far back that maybe gets the liver and one lung, it doesn't matter if you shoot it with a metal point or a stone point, the deer's going to roughly travel about the same amount of distance. And so now they can cover a little bit more ground, where if we double lung or hit one in the heart and they tip over pretty much immediately, if you hit where you get like a liver and maybe a liver and one lung, they might run several hundred yards, But if you can watch where they go, or simply follow the blood trail as we normally do, they're on borrowed time. They make it a couple 100 yards and they're down and they're dead relatively quickly. And then, of course, there is the dreaded gut shot. It doesn't matter what you shoot an animal with in the guts. It could be a rifle, could be, the primitive bow. None of that matters. When you hit something in the abdominal area, into the guts, that takes a very, very long time for the animal to die. That's why hunters specifically avoid that at all costs. And the more experienced the hunter is, the less he will take shots that could end in that. It's not only about the ethics of hunting and recovering the animal and it not having to suffer, but it's just simply far more efficient to wait for the right shot and then really drop an arrow right into the vitals, where if you just wait a little bit longer, wait till it turns, you get that perfect shot, and then you're going to drop it within seconds. Now you're not spending hours looking for it. You're not losing any meat. It's quick recovery. And stone points, they're just as efficient and reliable as the steel pointed counterparts. When you see that we're actually out hunting with this stuff and how quickly animals die, extremely efficient and ethical to use. So then I already know what a bunch of other folks have said. Oh, well, what happens if you shoot, really big animals? No, those ones you have to track those for days. You can't shoot a bison with a small, stone point and kill it. Well, of course, we've done that too. We've killed elk and bison, and I tell you what, it kills them pretty darn quick. Now, you do take an animal like a bison, much, much larger, with still a quite small projectile. It's a one-shot, one-kill. The thing is with something like a bison is they tend to not just run out. Like a deer will just run and run and run and run and run. And they use up all that oxygen in their bloodstream and potentially be pumping blood out really hard while they do it. Well, a bison, when you hit them, will run for a little ways and then they all just kind of stop again. That's just the nature of the bison within itself. That's just kind of what they do. They don't run and hide forever like deer do. They run in a herd and they'll just kind of hang out there a little bit, and then it's not pumping its blood as hard, it's just standing there. And we've seen this before. It just completely stands there. It's just dead on its feet. It's just waiting. And it could take upwards of a half an hour. But typically it does not. Typically, even if they go and you take 1 point, and drop it into the heart or the lung area of a bison, you're looking at 10 to 15 minutes, it's completely down, dead, and expired. If it continued to run and it use up that oxygen supply or pump more blood out of it, it would probably happen much, much faster. Just like if you shoot an elk, the elk takes off running, you make a good shot on the elk, and it's going to be dead in 100 or so yards. That's just the way that it works. So hopefully we're able to paint some of the picture of how truly effective stone projectiles really are, even in a primitive context. Where we're putting together a new book. It's not done yet, but I'm currently putting together a book that's unlike anything that's currently out there in regards to contextual primitive archery. And we've got a phenomenal amount of data, just like this stuff back here, but we're also testing bows and primitive strings, and of course all the stone projectile tests you could probably want. And I tell you what, keep your eye open for that, because we're really painting a big picture of how all of this ties together and how efficient the primitive bow and arrow truly is. Compared to what people think it is, today's standards, compared to modern bows and arrows, I am not at any disadvantage hunting with primitive bows, sticks, and stone points. We're going to knock them dead just as fast as we can with anything that we're hunting with modern.